Hello, my name is Dana Arcuri and I am an author and speaker. Today I would like to talk a little bit about journaling your benzodiazepine journey. And why I am suggesting this is for many reasons and benefits. And so I'll just begin a little bit with my benzodiazepine journey began in 2010. And it was a very difficult journey. It was a challenging adversity that really brought me to a place where I felt isolated. I was in extreme agonizing pain, physically, cognitively, and emotionally. And I probably felt the most isolated and alone during this time in my life. And so what really helped me along my own benzo journey was journaling. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about it and bring up some benefits and helpful tips on journaling this experience that you're going through and how keeping a journal will really be important down the road during your recovery. And so let's begin with number one. Go somewhere, even the dollar store. It doesn't have to be anywhere fancy. It doesn't have to be anywhere expensive, but buy yourself some form of tablet or journal. And it could be in any form that you choose. And it could even be something, that might show your personality, or if you have a favorite color, or if you, collect something like butterflies and you decide, hey, I want the cover of my journal with butterflies all over it, then, do whatever makes you feel good. Whatever, kind of gives you encouragement. I have this one here, and I love hearts. I am a huge fan of hearts. And so here's one of mine. And what I loved about this particular journal, which was really inexpensive, and I did find it at the dollar store, I like that on the top of this, on the front, it says the word believe and hope. And so that was like my own little daily encouragement, I'm going to still hang on to hope no matter how bad I feel. And I'm going to believe that I will have better days. And I'm going to believe that I am going to get through this. And so make sure that you have this little tablet or journal, whether it's thick or thin, go with what works with you. Next would be always include the date on every entry that you make. And whether you make long entries and you have many, many pages filled with what you're writing, or you just have something brief, a sentence, a paragraph, always include the date. And this will actually be really important for down the road. Say, for example, even 6 months down the road, when you look back through your journal and you maybe flip through a page and it might say something that really catches your eye. Maybe you're having a really good day. It helps to see that date and say, okay, I could gauge my recovery on these dates. And I could see that on this particular day, I was having really, an awesome day. I was having less symptoms and I was actually really hopeful that day. And so it's important to have these dates. I know in my own journal, I always dated, every time I wrote something, I wrote down the date. And so that was extremely helpful. Next would be to use your journal to be yourself. And consider this. If you have to hide your journal for privacy purposes, by all means do it. In all honesty, I have plenty journals tucked away in places where no one will see and where no eyes can read, because I don't want people reading my journal, because it's mine and it's private and it's confidential and it's a piece of me that I don't know that I want everyone to see. And, there are things that I wrote that I might not even be proud of today. And there might have been times that were so difficult and I just totally let loose. And we're talking let loose, like you can imagine what came out of my mouth. It wasn't pleasant, but it was where I was at. It's okay to be where you're at, to be vulnerable, to be real, be transparent, and say it like it is. Because through doing that, it's so therapeutic. It's helpful to just release and express these emotions. And when we're going through withdrawals with benzodiazepines or any medications, we have ups and downs. We have times we're feeling really, really depressed and dark and isolated. And we may have this part in us where we just see gloom and doom. And we might not want to touch others with that. And so this journal is a safe place. It's a safe place to just write out what you're feeling, to express yourself. If you're angry, be angry. It's okay. It's a safe place to be angry. It's a safe place to say, you know what, I'm angry that my doctor did this, that he didn't tell me about the horrific withdrawal symptoms, that in 7 short days of taking the lowest dose that I'm going to have this physical dependency. I didn't know about that. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm unhappy and I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I just want to get through this. And so write it out. Write where you hurt. And that will really be therapeutic. Don't just try to write positive things and uplifting things. And while I'm so totally for being uplifted and being encouraging and writing, positive affirmations, I still believe that the journal is therapeutic when we could just be in the moment and release whatever we're going through. And so do what works for you. Next would be log your medications in your journal. So for instance, say you're taking 3 different prescriptions and you have different doses and you may not have even begun a benzodiazepine taper or any form of tapers. Keep track of the drugs you're taking, the doses, when you take them, maybe even why. Why did the doctor prescribe it? Start making a list so you could really track what you're doing on this particular time in your life, how often you take the drug, and then the most important key is symptoms. For example, when I was taking Ativan and I was in the tapering process in December 2010. And so I began the tapering process 2 days before my birthday. And on my birthday, I had an entry that was quite rough. Let's just say that. It was rough because it was my birthday and it was a bad birthday. It was a miserable birthday. It was a wicked withdrawal birthday. And I used my journal to vent on this particular day. So I'm writing and sharing, and it just so happened that 1 hour after I took this smaller dose of my Ativan on that particular day, I ended up having this horrible, weird experience where maybe for a few hours I was okay, and then all of a sudden, boom, something let loose, and I was angry. I was actually very violent and hostile. It was not a pretty moment, but it was something that later when I was able to journal it and write about it and then look back on it, that really was a red flag that, whoa, something's going on here. Okay, you took this medication, you took this dose at this time, and within this period, this very short time, these symptoms surfaced. And it was a red flag to alert me, okay, you might need to change your taper. Maybe you're tapering too fast. How could you slow things down a little? And keep in mind that if you have a physician helping you with your taper, that will be so much better, hopefully. I didn't have that liberty. My physician went on vacation. He was not around for 1 month. I was pretty much on my own. And it was pretty scary. But nevertheless, I am thankful that I had my journal to write my notes and share the experience and jot down like the dosage and the time and then the different symptoms that happened and side effects that came after that. Because then when I looked back on it, I was like, okay, I have a clear picture of what's going on, and maybe I could come up with a new game plan on how to do things a little bit differently and see then how I respond. So I think keeping track of medication is really important. Next would be to determine how much progress you're making. So, for example, say you're journaling fairly often. It might not be daily, but it might be weekly. And say after a period of time, even 3 months, you could go back and start rereading your journal, start seeing, is there anything consistent? For example, nights were awful for me. I don't know about you, but when I was tapering the Ativan and I had already been tapered off of Cymbalta, I started noticing nights were the worst for me. Nights, I'm talking complete anxiety, insomnia, can't sleep, really negative feelings, really negative emotions, a lot of anger surfacing at night, just really odd. And maybe it was just my own experience. Maybe not everyone experiences this, but nevertheless, I did see that when I would read my journal, it became very clear that nighttime was a harder time for me. And I had to almost gear up for this and prepare myself and try to like talk myself through, like, you're going to be okay. And I had to come up with a plan, like, okay, what will I do in the evening to reduce my anxiety? What will I do to kind of calm myself down? And I decided I'm not going to have any deep conversations with anyone at night. I'm not going to talk about like the bills need paid. I'm not going to talk about maybe how my children are upsetting me or something in the family's disrupting my recovery. I'm not going to bring up anything stressful at night. I'm going to try to lay low. Maybe I'll turn on relaxing music, light a few candles. Maybe I'll soak in a hot bathtub with essential oils like lavender and just kind of zone out and allow myself this time to just take it easy and to respect myself and to just allow myself ways to heal and to move forward in this recovery process. However, at night I did journal a lot. At night, maybe after the relaxing bath and after listening to music, or even during, where I'm listening to some wonderful sounds of the ocean. And it was very soothing. And it was like, you could hear the waves coming in and out, and you can hear seagulls. It was very, very peaceful. And it really did give me some kind of like tranquil feeling of safety. And I would journal and usually, just jotting down what's going on today, what was really great about today, what was really bad about today, any side effects, any changes in my medication. There were times I might even had a question about medication. Maybe I wasn't sure and I said, almost like note to self. And then I said, I think something's wrong with my medicine, but I'm not sure what it is. And it's interesting because then when I looked back many months later and I'm reading this, I'm thinking there was something wrong. There was something wrong going on at that point with the medicine. And even if I didn't have the answers, at least I was able to put those questions out there. And so later when you're reading, you might be then in a better place. Maybe at that moment when you're reading, you have more clarity, maybe better cognitive function on that day, or you could try to come up with a action step to help you with these medications and tapers. The neat thing I wanted to end with, as far as journaling your benzodiazepine journey, and one benefit, which actually is a very big benefit for me, is that I was able to take that journal and all of those entries and compile it into a book. And while I didn't use my entire journal, I used several entries and a lot of the information, so much of this information I wrote, I was able to then compile into my memoir, which became a published book. So here it is, Harvest of Hope, Living Victoriously Through Adversity. And this book was very much my benzodiazepine story. It went into also my Cymbalta journey. It goes into also my healing and how I decided Western medicine was not for me. And I decided, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's go holistic. Let's go gentle. Let's clean up the diet. And so chapter 26 goes into the whole, step by step. What did I do and how did I do it to heal? And so if you want to learn more about that, you could go to Amazon.com, look for Dana Arcuri. Once again, that's Harvest of Hope, Living Victoriously Through Adversity. which is my benzodiazepine story in a memoir. And you could also connect with me for encouragement at my website, which is danaarcuri.com. And I'm really hoping and praying that journaling your benzodiazepine journey will help you in the long run. And I just pray for your recovery. If you'd love to leave comments for me, I'm happy to be here for you, to support you in your recovery process. Thank you and have a great day.